Welcome to Off Deadline. I'm Melissa DiGianfilippo, and I am so excited about my guest today, Russ Wiles. Russ Wiles is a business writer and columnist for the Arizona Republic and USA Today Network, with nearly 45 years of experience as a journalist, covering investments, taxes, retailing, banking, and more. He has worked for and contributed to major outlets like the LA Times, Chicago Sun-Times, Hartford Courant, Investors Business Daily, and Personal Investor Magazine. A native of LA, he graduated from UCLA and earned his master's degree from Columbia University and California State University, Northridge. He is the co-author of 2 investment books, including How Mutual Funds Work. Welcome, Russ. I am so thrilled to have you, especially given the fact that with this new administration, there's insane economic news every day. I don't know how you keep up or have time to be here.
Happy to be here, Melissa. The first quarter, the first 4 months of this year has been the busiest I've had at the Republic in 34 years. I filed over 100 stories in the first 4 months, and so many of them were tariff-related or new tax policies or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. And to your question, President Trump has made an effort to really push the ball forward during his first 100 days in office. But a lot of that was, if not immigration news, then business news.
It's all. I mean,
economic news.
My daily podcast I listen to get my news it's every day. Yeah. It's something tariff and economy. So when we first were emailing about the interview, and you're like, I can't do it now because there was something related to tariffs, and I get it. I just can't imagine how you keep up. So good job, first of all. Thanks for keeping us Arizonians in the know. Really appreciate the hard work you do. We're gonna
like my mother.
We're going to dive right in. I'd like to start by understanding, why did you choose journalism and how did you get your start?
I really started back when I was an undergrad at UCLA, started working for the Daily Bruin there for 2 years. Just got an interest in it. When you're a senior and you have to make the next decision, I just chose this route, went to Columbia University in New York for a quick degree in journalism. And
yeah, that's like one of the best journalism schools too.
Yeah. Why business? Well, I came out of school in a very bad economic environment, and I'd always been interested in investing, especially in business. My first jobs were in that direction.
That's
and
awesome.
I have not left business journalism the entire time.
So you've always been on that beat. Wow, that's awesome.
No sports writing, no fashion writing.
Yeah, and I'm curious, you had an interest in investing then from a very early age. What sparked that?
You know what? The LA Times, at the end of the sports section came the business section. And I started reading those stock market tables, and I started investing. I think I was 12 years old. I bought my first 2 shares of McDonald's.
Wow.
And I just kept with it, in various ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's really cool that I don't think every journalist gets to cover a beat that's a passion, right?
Well, they aren't all passions, but
well, obviously.
I have a broad beat, and some are better than others. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So now, which story that you've done has pushed you the furthest outside of your comfort zone, and how did that experience transform you?
Well, I would say most recently, not a single story, but a series of stories on semiconductor business, particularly Taiwan Semiconductor manufacturing, which has been a revolutionary catalyst for our economy. They're building, initially they were going to put in one factory or fab worth $12 billion.
Here in Arizona.
Yeah, here in North Phoenix, where desert scrub previously. Then they ratcheted up to 40 billion. Then it was 65 billion. And then at the start of this year, their chairman out from Taiwan is in the Oval Office with President Trump, and they announced an additional 100 billion, bringing it to a $165 billion commitment by one company here. It's already brought in about 45 suppliers in the area. And to put $165 billion in perspective, you could build 100 brand new Major League Baseball stadiums for that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the most recent one was about 1.5 billion in Houston or Dallas.
Yeah.
100 Major League ballparks are equivalent to what they're building there. And that's just TSMC, not the suppliers. And it's revolutionizing, really, rejuvenating our manufacturing base. And Phoenix, too, because we had a semiconductor legacy that kind of, with Motorola and others, that kind of dissipated.
Yeah.
You know, and this will bring it back.
Yeah, that's so cool. And also, I think people don't always think about the fact that this announcement, this one story that it's coming, this is a story you're going to be covering and following for years. Like the jobs, the implications on, taxes and everything, right?
Right. And getting back to your original question, which I realized I didn't answer.
Oh, it's okay.
Why did it challenge me? Because the science, it's a whole new area of the science of semiconductors. They're building them smaller than a human hair length, and learning the jargon, nanometer or node,
Yeah, all new to you.
Still don't know if I know a node from a neptode, but anyway, I'm getting there.
Yeah. So you're really becoming like a mini expert or an expert in a brand new space. So that's the challenging thing, I assume. Yeah.
Running on the fly.
Yeah, awesome. Was there ever a moment when you possibly considered leaving journalism, and what brought you back to loving it or being passionate about it again?
Well, I'm not sure I was ready to leave journalism. After 34 years in the Republic, I had my moments where I thought maybe I might try something else. But more recently, I will say that the economy here and the business ecosystem is just expanding so much, it makes it interesting. A decade ago, were we building semiconductors at this scale? No. Were we building luxury electric vehicles in Casa Grande? No. Did we have 20 data centers coming up? I mean, and all sorts of different other businesses. So the economy really has transformed. I mean, we're a city of, a metro area of 6 million people now. We're growing up.
Yeah.
And we're diversifying, It's not the 5 C's anymore.
Yeah, it keeps it, you're correct. It's not the 5 C's. And it's got to just keep it interesting when you do get an opportunity to, meet a totally foreign business and they're coming in investing so much and, you're learning something new. I imagine, this long in your career, it does keep it fresh.
It does keep it fresh. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you share a moment when you witnessed your journalism make a tangible, positive difference in someone's life?
I wouldn't say there's a single moment, but occasionally, every now and then, I will get an email from somebody who says, "Thank you for talking me off the edge." And what we're really talking about is investing now, which is really my main focus. But we've seen a crazy stock market this year. It dropped tens of billions of dollars quickly on some of these tariff announcements, some of the tariff uncertainty. And there's, every one of these downdrafts is different, and they all are scary at the time.
Yeah.
But I've tried to maintain a stay the course philosophy, provided that you have a investment portfolio that's appropriate.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be worrying about it at night, losing sleep, it's not worth it.
Clearly.
But for most people, that's not the case. Even younger retirees might have 20 years out, and the market recovers over time. But every now and then, I do get an email from a reader saying, "Thank you for, talking me down from the edge of the cliff or the edge of the building, whatever."
Yeah, because they're stressed. Helps. Yeah, they don't understand. And I guess on that note, knowing you have a personal passion for investing, you've written books on investing. Do you ever find it challenging to keep your own personal opinions out of your writing?
I wouldn't say opinions. I've come to view the world in certain ways.
Of course.
Like, long-term hold for the most part, not try and market time. So whether that's an opinion or a bias or a lesson I've learned over the line. So I am going to favor certain types of investment styles, for example, over others.
Yeah.
And that's built on, 40 years of studying this.
Yeah. I imagine that can get tricky maybe for someone newer to the profession who doesn't understand how to keep that bias, aside from like an opinion piece, but out of a news story.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I think with the whole Trump MAGA movement, we've kind of seeing two sides of bias.
Yes.
Or at least an importance of getting both sides of the story out there.
Yes.
I mean, take tariffs, for example. At the face of it, it was a shock, and I think a lot of negative fallout from me and others. I think the strategy behind it, there is some merit there. Well, just the whole idea that there are two sides of the coin, and even something like what we thought was that basic economic policy, supporting electric vehicles, for example, which was big under Biden and brought some investment to Phoenix, is not, the policy of this administration. So policies that you think are good at the time can be reversed quickly.
Yeah.
And there's a rationale behind either.
Yeah. Have you ever published something that you later regretted or wished you would have approached differently?
Probably. And when I thought of that, I couldn't really think of a single story per se, but there are ways to word things that aren't necessarily great.
Yeah.
As an example, years ago, I was writing about the stock market. It was going up crazy one day and down the next, and I think I used the term schizophrenic. And I got a call from somebody who said, my relative has schizophrenia, and it's not such a joking matter. So
yeah.
I'm become more sensitive to those sort of things.
Yeah, it makes total sense, and I imagine it happens more often than we think.
We're more aware of that, I think, now than we were 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Has there ever been a source that you maybe thought was reliable and credible, and you come to find out later, like, absolutely not?
Yes. I think a good recent example is Trevor Milton, who built the Nikola car company, was sentenced to prison under Biden administration, pardoned by President Trump. I did a close interview with him a couple months ago, and he feels very wronged by the whole experience. And he might be right, and I'm not saying he's wrong, but I'm just saying I'm not sure about him.
Yeah.
To this day. He's very charismatic, nice guy, but other people out there might consider his story to be less than honest.
Absolutely.
I'm still not sure.
Yeah. That's got to be tough too, because you assume a certain amount of credibility based on what they've done, what they've built, and it's hard. You can't really take back once you publish something and interview them, like it's out there.
Well, I don't think I've written anything wrong. I'm just following the news.
Absolutely.
But he has been, I don't know. I'm still debating it.
Yeah, understandable. What story that you've done has required extraordinary effort or sacrifice that hasn't been reflected in the final story that ran?
All right. Well, that was an easy one.
Okay.
Last July, I went to Taiwan to see what I could of the Taiwan Semiconductor factories there. That's where they're headquartered, obviously. And it was hot and humid, very, very sultry back then. But I also didn't realize that until a bit later that a typhoon was heading into the island. So I thought, maybe I should get out of here. And in the meantime, that CrowdStrike mess up with the airlines, and I was flying Delta. So they wanted to reroute me 3 days later, coming home through Minneapolis. Long story short, I wound up buying a ticket on my own to get home. It took me 50 hours, including 21-hour layover in Tokyo, then 8 hours in LA.
Oh my God.
So it was a bit of an ordeal.
All to get that story?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I wasn't planning on that, but...
Yeah, no, of course.
And I haven't been through a typhoon, so I didn't know what to expect.
No.
Maybe it's just run of the mill for them. I don't know.
That is so scary, though. I can't imagine that. And was that your first time in Taiwan?
Taiwan, yeah.
Yeah. And have you traveled a lot for the job?
No, unfortunately. I mean, I wish I would have.
Yeah. Still a chance.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
I mean,
budgets are budgets.
That's true. And I think that I want to talk about that too. I think maybe people who don't understand that journalism is a little bit of a thankless career sometimes, right? Like, it's not like you are in this to make millions of bucks.
Well, that's another type of budget, but yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Yeah.
But, with newspapers facing cost pressures, we're not usually sending people out on international trips much.
Yeah.
Not that we ever really did, but
No.
I think it's even more constrained now.
And with the change in going from print, or all print, 20 years ago, to obviously the majority of your subscribers, I imagine, are online now. How has that changed the way you report?
It has changed it. We're looking much more at feedback in terms of readership, online readership numbers, to see how to play stories, even how to change the headline, for example, and what to cover. So yeah, it does. It matters a lot.
Yeah, and maybe incorporating like video and different kind of multimedia potentially, I imagine, because you can do that online, you know?
That's less my deal.
Yeah.
But just having a certain word in a headline can make a difference.
Yeah, interesting.
Can make a difference.
Yeah.
Like Trump, that's a big word.
Oh, yes. And it could be in the news every day, again.
And tariffs lately have been big too.
Absolutely.
Things like that.
Yeah. What talent, hobby, or interest would surprise people who only know you through your byline?
Well, I have various hobbies, travel, pickleball, tennis, stained glass window making.
Oh, wow.
But although I don't do that as much anymore. But I think what might surprise people, maybe not, is that I in terms of investing, taxes, I do eat my own cooking, meaning that I do, follow and management, my own investments, file my own tax returns. So I'm not writing one way and then doing something else.
Yeah. You're really,
So
that's really interesting. And also, pickleball, but stained glass window making. So just explain that to me real quick.
It's a great hobby. I've enjoyed making windows and lamps. I don't do it as much anymore because I'm running out of windows to display them. But that's one of my favorite. That has been a fun hobby for a while.
Wow. And so do you have like a kiln and like how do you, at your house?
Well, that's ceramics.
Okay, that's
I've done
ceramic.
that too, but let's not go there.
Okay, got it.
But
Fair.
all you need is a wheel to cut the glass, some different glass, which is easy to find, and then you put them in lead, like leading. How do I say it? You put the glass among lead pieces so that the lead is what holds it together.
Oh, interesting.
Then a soldering iron solders it all together. Then you kind of seal it with a black stain to get the little gaps out. And voila.
Wow. And so your house, I imagine, has lots of cool stained glass windows?
Cool is, I think so. Probably more than I need. But
Yeah. Well, that's a very neat hobby.
it's different.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going into our rapid fire questions segment to end this. So I'm going to ask you a question, and ideally you say the first thing that comes to mind. Okay?
Okay.
Secret weapon to get you through a rough deadline day.
Well, working at home helps a lot, but I think just being able to get up, walk around, raid the refrigerator, all those things are good breaks.
Yeah. Do you have animals at home to like keep you company?
Yes.
And?
Well, they can get in the company, or they can be company, and they also
Can be annoying.
step on my keyboard and lose the story. I have one cat who's very tactile, shall we say.
Yeah.
Likes to get on my shoulder, and it's like, oh, I'm getting sore now.
Cats only?
Right now. Yeah.
Okay,
Well, sort of a dog, but kind of share them.
Okay, got it. Fair. Most bizarre place you've ever conducted an interview?
Well, what I thought of on that Taiwan trip, that 50-hour Taiwan trip, well, news kept coming. I wound up doing a semiconductor interview from the baggage claim area of LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. It wasn't so bad, but it was just unusual.
Yeah. Yeah.
To do it there.
Yeah, of course. And you're probably exhausted, traveling, coming.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. Your secret journalistic superpower?
I don't know if it's a superpower, but I do think it's critical to meet deadlines.
Yeah.
And because if you don't, you start, putting bottlenecks in the system, and your editors get angry. So I do think I don't make them always, but I'm very conscious about making deadlines.
Yeah.
It's a very basic fundamental, but, I don't think everyone does it.
No, I don't. Well, I think a lot of people aren't on time for a lot of things in life, but so.
Yeah, that's true.
But making deadlines is critical. As a PR person, believe me, I know it's the most important thing to be able to be a great source for you. Anyone like you. A story you'd cover if your editor said, "Unlimited budget, go wild."
Well, I wouldn't say unlimited budgets, but one area I've always wanted to do, and I never have, is kind of seeing where the ports of Southern California tie into Arizona's economy. Mm-hmm. Long Beach, Los Angeles, big ports there.
Yeah.
Biggest on the West Coast. And a lot of that stuff is trucked through Arizona.
Wow.
8-hour. I don't know if you've been out in the West Valley,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we have monstrous warehouses out there now. I've always wanted to do something along those lines. It's not really a budget, but I just haven't got there yet.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I actually never thought about that.
Yeah.
But I do have a client in the trucking space, like teaching people how to be truck drivers, and they have a truck driving school. And gosh, the things I've learned about that piece of the economy and the impact, and now with the tariffs and the job losses that can happen, you know, among truck drivers, it's crazy how much one thing can impact so many things.
Right.
You know.
And a lot of those people are going to be retiring in the next 10 years, so
Yeah.
we're going to be driving autonomous trucks.
I know. Which,
In fact,
already doing
they've been
it.
testing that in Arizona too.
yeah. I heard something at the Phoenix Economic Summit yesterday by the Business Journal about flying cars in the next 10 years here.
I wouldn't be surprised, but we already got Waymo.
I know.
20 years ago, who would have believed that?
Right? Have you ridden in one yet?
No,
I haven't either.
no.
I don't know if I want to.
I just see him tailgating.
Yeah. Okay, last question. If I weren't a journalist, I'd be?
Probably a financial planner or a money manager,
Yeah.
because that's kind of where I've, a big part of my passion or thinking goes.
Yeah.
I understand it, so I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I so appreciate you being here, Russ. Thank
Happy to
you
be
for
here,
doing this.
Melissa.